That takes us on to our final topic. I'd like to just point out some differences between behavior and habit. So behavior is temporary. It's possible that somebody behaves in a certain way only once ever in their life and then never again. Because it's in the moment. It's whatever comes to us in the moment. It's also age related. Just certain behaviors children will do that adults don't do anymore, and that certain behaviors that adults will do that children don't do. So it is age related. It's unpredictable. We can train our children in the best way possible, but they still might behave in an undesired way at any given moment, because it's not possible to predict it. It's often copied and unconscious. And that's at a very young age, children absorb the behaviors that are done around them. And that's why they say until the age of 7, the personality, character, and all that is developed. And that's really the important age to create create that environment around them where they absorb the good behaviors, and that will serve them for life. So that's behavior. And the other hand, a habit is long term. It's predictable because a habit can be formed, can be changed. It's actually planned in a way. It's constant. It's by choice. So while behavior is just whatever comes to you in the moment, often a habit will actually guide you through whatever moments you need to go through, and you can have fixed times for certain things, and you will know what is happening at a certain time and in a certain circumstance, and they are established with consistency. So that was the difference between behavior and habit. Just a few things I'd like to share about how to deal with behavior, which maybe some of you have heard, or maybe might be some new ideas. Look at each behavior in your child with fresh pair of eyes. And what I mean is, often I hear from around me, and I've done it myself as well, parents saying, oh, I've told you so many times, you've done it again, and how many times do I have to remind you, and all these things. But rather than doing that, look at each time, even if it's a repeated behavior, look at it with fresh pairs of eyes, because it might give you new insights into where that behavior is coming from. It goes back to, do they have some insecurity around that topic, around that circumstance, that the behavior is repeated? If it's a very repetitive behavior, then most likely they have an underlying insecurity around it. And so sit down with them and look at it from a fresh perspective, and a fresh pair of eyes, as if you've never seen them doing it before. And you're getting to know them just now without any judgment or criticism. This is a really good way. This only happened a few days ago. I went in the car with all 3 kids, and as soon as we started moving, there was some disagreement and fighting, and one of my sons, he sort of smacked my daughter on the arm, and I just turned around in complete, pretending to be in complete shock and horror, saying, did you just hit her? And as if he's never done it before. I wish, but as if he's never done it before. And that was enough. I didn't need to say anything else to him. It was like one of those reactive behaviors, and I know overall he's not the type to do that, and it happens in the moment. But rather than me saying, oh, every time we get in the car, you guys start fighting, when are you going to stop this, when are you going to grow out of this, or all this chatter, all this thinking around it, all I said is like, did you just do that? Did you? So using something like that, it can be done in many circumstances, just shocks them out of that routine as well, and it interrupts the patterns. A very important part about behavior that is rewarded is repeated. So any behavior that you consistently reward, point out to the children, often we fall into the pattern that we are so busy with correcting the bad behavior, we completely forget to look at the good behavior. But the more we actually focus on the good behavior and the more we reward it, and rewarding is very easy with children. All they want is a bit of praise, and all they want is actually your attention, your full attention. And just going up to them and saying, I just saw you being very kind to your little sister there. And it's so beautiful to see. And that's it. That's all they want. They want acknowledgement. They want your positive. They want your attention. Whether you give them positive or negative, they want your attention. While behavior that is punished is not necessarily stopped, which maybe many of us have experienced, that if we punish behavior, it doesn't necessarily actually stop it. And sometimes we have to protect them from themselves. And what I mean by that, a really good story that only happened last weekend actually, is my nephew. We went out together all on a away for the weekend, and he's a really hands-on little active boy. He went and ripped out the coverings of little trees. He didn't actually rip out the trees, but just the coverings that go around it. And being my brother-in-law was quite desperate, like, oh no, how are you gonna put this back? And just in that moment, it just dawned on me, saying like, you have to, for some kids, we just have to protect them from themselves and be 2 steps ahead of them. So I was telling him like, oh, next time you sit next to something like that, think, oh, what is my son going to do? Is he going to go and rip those things out? Oh, then yeah, probably. So I better move him away from there before he starts doing anything like that. So that's just for some children, it's better to preempt any behavior like that. So for that little boy, it's not a bad behavior. He just was curious and thought, what's that? And ripped them out. I mean, he didn't do it because he wants to be bad or mean. In the same way, I think we have to maybe protect children from, let's say, teenagers, often maybe from their own addiction to screen time nowadays. Protect them from themselves. It's very easily to get addicted to it, and it is a big issue for a lot of parents nowadays. So preempt what is going to happen and protect them before, because we have the experience. We know, we not always know, but we can predict better than them what would happen. And then finally, teach them tools how to deal with situations. Teach them negotiating, give and take, allow them to have boundaries themselves as well. And so it teaches them why boundaries are important. A good one is like, if they don't want to share their favorite toy, don't make them. That is their boundary. If teach them negotiating, a really good way to do it is to create a puppet theater with them, and then use puppets to show them how to negotiate. And it really helps them to get through life easier and reduces the amount of bad behavior. The other thing which I'd like to just point out is the do it my way or the highway, which we can often fall into that trap of we want things done in a certain way, but then children, they have their own mind and they want things done in their certain way. So allow them to do it their way. Like if they want to make the bed in a certain crazy way that does not approve with your way, then let them. Why not? Why does it have to be our way? And when we try to, the more we try to make it our way, the more difficult we make it for ourselves, and the more challenges you will get with the kids. I think it's if our role is really important to stay calm in whatever situation, and calm is contagious. So if you're calm, back to the master parenting skill, then the other situation will also stay calm. And also look at the intention behind the action. Sometimes the actions don't look like they're very nice or are done in a right way, but the intention behind it is good. Like my older son was telling the younger two in a quite rough way, go and brush your teeth, and why you're not brushing your teeth, and things like that. And they came to me complaining that he's forcing us to brush our teeth. But if you look at the tension behind it, he was really actually that, oh mama, I wanted to make sure they do it and then not skip it or whatever. But so his intention was good, but the way he was doing it was not. So it's important to look at the intention behind the action. And the other important thing is when we enforce our way onto them, is that we can actually never predict how they feel. So it's like telling them, oh, I know how you feel, or you shouldn't feel like that, or you should feel like that, and why you're always crying, or why you're always like that. That's, you can never predict how someone might feel in any given situation. And it's better to be loving and forgiving than to be right. It's better to let go of things and be loving and forgiving than being right and enforcing your way onto them. And finally, just have a few tips on how to establish good habits. There's really 3 keys and 2 additional add-ons. Start today, don't stop, and no guilt. So if you want to establish a new habit, pick one habit, start today, don't stop, keep on going until the habit doesn't serve you anymore or you need to make changes. And if you do miss it, there's no guilt around it. Additional resources we can use is track your progress, and it's good not to have more than 2-day gap. If you're establishing a habit that's daily, then it's good not to miss it for more than 2 days, because then it's tricky to start again. But then you go back to the beginning. Start today, don't stop, no guilt. And have good habits yourself to role model to your children. Have a discussion about what habits they want to have for life, and then make it happen for them. Just a few days ago, I was thinking about my son. I trained him quite a while back to establish the good habit of hanging the towel after he had a shower. I saw recently that habit has been slacking a bit. So I came into his room, and there was 2 ways this could go. One way I could say, oh, bad behavior, he's left the towel on the bed again. Or I can say, okay, I'm gonna start again and establish the good long-term habit of him hanging his towel after he's had a shower. So now I just reminded him, can you please hang up the towel now? And that's it, nothing else. I don't need to say, oh, why haven't you done it? We've practiced this, we've sort of had established this habit before, what's happened, like these things happen. So keep it simple, minimum say, and try to, whenever you think bad habit, how can you turn a bad behavior, how can you turn it into a good long-term habit? There's a shift in view. And yeah, having the tracking system, like either doing ticks or something, the kids find it quite fun. Although there is a flaw in the system, because when I did that with all three of them, actually, my 5-year-old then asked, it was about making the bed every day. He said, so what, when I think it was like a 60-day chart for tracking, he said, so when the 60 days are over, do I stop making my bed? It was like, no, the idea is that by then you would be in such a habit that you won't stop making it. But kids are much more clever than any system. And have a clear outcome in mind and reward the results. As we all know, kids love rewards, and tell them about having a clear outcome, clear result in mind. And yeah, this is something I came across just recently. Viktor Franklin, some of you might have heard of him. He was a Holocaust survivor. He said in some instances, if you encourage the opposite, things actually start happening. So he did it with sleeping. So patients who couldn't sleep, he encouraged them to not to sleep, to say to themselves, oh, I'm not allowed to go to sleep, I can't go to sleep, and that actually helped them to go to sleep. So you can come up with inventive ideas, maybe in some circumstances where you can like say, oh, you know, you're not allowed to do that, and that will make them actually curious and want to do it. And it can't be used for everything, but it's a fun way. Yeah, one thing I thought would be fun, like if everybody would like to decide right now one habit that you will implement from today or tomorrow. Pick one and get started, and that way it'll keep going. So whatever it is, I've listed a few here, but you can pick your own, and pick one. You just see what